And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my always co-host Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm all right, Rob. How you doing?
Oh, you know, warm because it's
it's
warm.
Hades hot right now.
It's pretty fucking hot out. Yeah, it was a day over where I live. It wasn't too bad. It was about 100, I think. I'm sure in the valley it was steamy.
Yeah, it was pretty hot here, but I just got back from Palm Springs, and that is like the armpit of hell out there. I could not believe.
Oh no,
Oh my gosh, I could not believe how hot that was. I'm like, damn, it's hot. I couldn't stop saying that.
And it's funny because the company that I work for, we deliver stuff out there, and I talked to a guy today over there, and he was like, hey, how was it today? And he's like, it wasn't that bad. It was about 109.
Oy.
He's like, oh wow.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could do that constantly.
No.
I mean, I know I did Vegas for a couple of years, and that shit was pretty damn hot. So, but you know, it's part of life. It's part of living in California. You gotta enjoy the heat a little bit because you know we only have 2 seasons here: hot and
hotter.
Kind of hot. Yeah, or hot and blazing fucking hot.
Yeah.
I guess it all matters how you look at it, right?
Right. So I was listening to the news today because I'm home with Dad and didn't make plans to go out, and he watches nonstop news, and I'm in a crappy mood.
Wow, there's so many things we could go off of that. I guess it all matters what you heard and what side of the fence you're on.
Yeah, you're right. Well, from the war between the Ukraine and Russia to more vaccine boosters coming out to R. Kelly getting 30 years for defecating on children.
Yeah, well, not just defecating, but yes. I mean,
sex trafficking. The list.
Trafficking.
Jesus.
Yeah, so, that dude.
It put me in a freaking mood. I was like, what the hell is going on here? So
yeah, he's a special cat. Cat. He likes peeing on people.
Yeah. And more.
Yeah.
And more.
Yes, and more. Yeah, he's a little screwed. And then the Epstein chick, she only got 20 years.
Yeah, but she didn't do any of the sexual stuff. I think that's why she didn't get it.
Maybe,
you get more if you actually do it, not if you're just an accomplice. I don't know.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me.
If you're an accomplice, you get 20, and if you are doing it, you get 30.
Yeah,
you get an extra 10. That's
and then we
wild,
could throw in the race thing, So there's that too. I don't. Not that I want to get into that. I really don't. But we could just throw that in there for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that guy, he was doing this for quite a while.
Yes,
I think it finally just caught up to him. Like he got in trouble a couple of years ago for something, and got in trouble again and got in trouble again. And then they finally, you give a person enough rope, they're going to hang themselves at some point.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I thought it was interesting.
And then on top of that, the Roe versus Wade thing being overturned, which is what our topic is going to be today.
That's correct.
Yeah, there's so much going on with that. It's insane. I don't know how I feel about all this, to be honest with you. I mean, I've got my definite opinions and we'll go over them, but it's a lot to take in. Like just one 30-minute news show has affected me to the point I was fine today to go and sit and watch the news and I'm all pissed off.
Yeah. That's why I do my best not to watch the news.
And that's why I don't.
Snippets.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Roe decision is a very interesting thing right now because I think it's definitely very much 2 camps. You have the very pro-choice and the very anti-abortion. I find it very interesting, now I think that if you're one, or I think if you're one, your friends will just hate you now forever. And if you're on the other side, you're just like, you need to kind of understand really what happened. Mm-hmm. Basically, what the Supreme Court did is take it out of the federal government's hands and put it back into the states' hands. Mm-hmm. So basically, states will decide on the abortion laws, which gives really power back to the people, because if you are in a state that has a governor who signs over the bill that says abortion is outlawed, the next time his term comes up, or her term, you just vote them out.
Yeah, and then I don't agree with that, though. It's for me, like, why does state have any right either? They shouldn't. Like, it's not let's put religion, let's put the government into everything now. Is that what we're doing, especially when it comes to our bodies? I
think that's a very slippery slope, though, because you can insert whatever term you want there where it comes to the states or the federal government controlling them. Now, do you want no government? If you want no government, then that's a whole other thing. Because, like, here's the thing. When people start throwing around Roe, and we'll get into our opinions on abortion here in a second, I always they're like, this. And I go, great, insert guns there. And then tell me. And they're like, whoa, well, that's different. And no, it's not. We cherry pick everything, because that's what we do as humans, right? We cherry pick what we think is the right thing. So I think it's just putting things in the hands of the states is what the founding fathers of this country wanted. They wanted states to have their own individual laws, because different people live in different states. Like the wacko state we live in is full of just insane people who would fucking give up their left arm if they could say they did something good for somebody. It's kind of a crazy thing. And obviously there's some other issues with that. If you go to like the South and there's, how people think there, as well as if you go to Washington, who's also full of fucking wackos there in Oregon that are just insane. I mean, they let people take over city blocks for a week or 2 or 3 or whatever the fuck it was. So I get it. Like, putting federally regulating things, the federal government shouldn't be in anyone's shit. That's part of the problem. Agreed. The feds are supposed to make sure the roads are nice, and that's it. Take our taxes and fix shit with it. The state governments are supposed to be the ones you give a shit about. They're the ones who make whatever law it is you want to fix, or if you want to live there. So, like here, if you wanted to fix it, we would get our governor out. But obviously, oh my gosh, you're talking today and just pissing people off. I'm sitting here going, probably. Ooh. But it's true. Like this state is horrible. On a lot of levels. But it's a very liberal state, and I would say that I'm very center-leaning right. I believe in gun rights and free speech, and that piece of paper that means a lot. So the Roe decision is, I understand why they did it. The Supreme Court overlooked everything and said, we can't fix this on a federal level. Let the state take care of it, and we should do that on a lot of things. It would make things much better. You'll probably have lots of migration, because people will just leave the state they live in and go to the state that they want to be in. But shouldn't they want to do that anyway? I mean, if you're not happy living somewhere, you're lucky you live here. Go somewhere else. You could go wherever you want to and be with whomever like-minded people you want to be with. I totally agree with that. And you can say the same thing about the country. There you go. Well, I got a different opinion about that. Being Native American, if you guys got a problem, all of you go the fuck home, because y'all messed this shit up already. Oh, so we could go that route. We don't want to go down that road, because Because then I'll tell you some crazy shit too. It's like the Black Hills in South Dakota. People are like, give the Indians their land back. Awesome. Which ones? Because there's been about 8 tribes that were there, and they all murdered each other for the land. Mm-hmm. So, Whitey didn't teach the Indians how to murder each other. They were doing it far before we got here. And they were doing it for the same reason.
That's not the same thing, though. There's going to be problems amongst a community, but when you have a huge I don't even know where to start with this. Let me think.
But
so when you have all those people that aren't even supposed to be here and trying to take over, that's a different story.
Yeah, we can argue if they were the first ones here. There was a landmass. There was a bridge across Alaska to Russia. There's a lot of things we can talk about of being whoever was native here. Mm-hmm. But that being said, let's say they are the natives to this country. They were stealing land and scalping each other way before we got here.
Right. They didn't need any more help, is what I'm saying.
No,
and people that came here and don't like it, they don't need to stay.
No, but people have been conquered forever. Forever.
I get that.
Pick a country. They've been conquered.
That.
We won.
So, but
it's
what
unfortunate.
I'm saying is, so if you don't like it, leave. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to stay here. There doesn't need to be any problems, because if you really want a problem, everybody should go home. Why doesn't everybody go back to their roots, and then we'll start over? Let's try this again.
Well, because we left England for a reason. That's why we settled this country.
That's what I'm saying. So freaking make it work.
We did. We have made it work.
Have we?
Oh,
have we? Did you watch the news today? Did you watch it?
Still the freest country on the planet.
I'll give you that, but still not impressed today.
And if not, there's England, Australia. There's tons of English-speaking countries, if that's the language you speak, to go to.
Still
and if
not
you speak
impressed.
Spanish, tons of Spanish countries to go to. So, yeah, I mean, we can argue all day about that kind of stuff, but let's argue about abortion, because that's kind of what we're here to do. And actually, we're probably not going to argue that much. We'll probably argue a little bit, because I think the decision was correct. So only from the standpoint of what they did, of giving it back to the states. Now, my stance on abortion is kind of a very weird one, or not weird, but definitely I look at it differently. I believe that you should have that choice. But I also think there should be a time limit on it. We're 16 weeks, anything before 16 weeks, like a viable fetus. There's a couple of other things. I think too many people are using this as a birth control device. And I'll give you an example why. There's people that are getting on TikTok who are saying how many abortions they've had, and they're proud of it. This is what divides the country. When you start doing dumb shit like that, the people who are anti-abortion hope those people get in car accidents. Mm-hmm. So, it's the far left and right on both sides are just out of control. I think using it as a birth control device is a horrible thing. You're not teaching anyone anything. You're just teaching them, go out, have a one night stand. Don't worry about it. You can get rid of it. Instead of just saying, hey, use the right birth control from the very beginning and we won't be in this situation. But I also think birth control should be absolutely free.
Okay.
So I think that there's other things, like instead of sending $40 billion to the Ukraine for, guns that they're trying to get rid of in this country, why don't we just make sure everyone's on birth control and fix the problems way before we have to get to an abortion? But I do believe that there should be a right within a certain amount of time. Like there's states like Colorado who up to 9 months will abort a baby. That's fucking absurd. And if you believe in that, in my opinion, you're out of your fucking mind. That's just insanity. Like you have to have the responsibility to understand you don't want it. And let's say within this 16-week period to have that taken care of. So don't outlaw it. Outlawing it is going to do nothing but hurt people. It's And in most cases, I think you're going to see there will be no outright ban of it. There will be in some states. There's some definitely backward states, I'm sure, that will do that. But like I said, that, you know, you have to have some kind of, you know, point to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I believe that the government shouldn't be a part of this at all on any level. If a woman has to or needs to have an abortion, it should be in between her and her doctor. I don't believe that the government in any way should have anything to say about it. I believe that there's a lot of reasons that women get abortions. Personally, for me, I never would have done it. That wouldn't have been a thing for me, because being that I've had more of a spiritual upbringing, I never wanted to, when I meet my maker, have to explain to him why I took a soul off this earth when I was supposed to give it life. I didn't want to have that conversation. So I was a very different kid. I had a friend that worked for the free clinic and would give me cases of condoms, and I gave them to everybody. And I didn't worry about getting knocked up because I took care of what I needed to take care of.
Right.
But I don't believe that we should ban abortion altogether. That just sounds crazy. And we all know and walk with people that we love every day that have had abortions. So if we're going to start judging, you know, what's that going to fix? It's not going to fix anything. Women have abortions. Men don't like to wear condoms. That's kind of the general consensus. So it's a problem that we need to go back to fixing and making everybody accountable for, not just the woman. You know, if everybody takes their place in this world and does what they're supposed to do, the world will work better. And unfortunately, this abortion taking the rights of women away, it just doesn't seem right to me. And again, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have an abortion. Do I think waiting till 9 months is excessive to have one? Absolutely. But what if it's a medical condition that's gonna
that's different,
you know, that can't be fixed?
Right. Look, there's got to be balances. Rape, incest, obviously something that's going to kill the mother.
Right.
Those are medical procedures. Those aren't what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about because I believe in all that stuff. Look, if you have something that's going to kill you inside of you, you should generally get it out. Mm-hmm. Okay, regardless. Agreed. Child, cancer, bad bone, whatever it is. I think the problem is that you know, people start throwing that one out. Well, they're not going to do this. Yeah, they're still going to do those procedures. They're not going to let mothers die. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop people from obviously using it to murder people, if that's what you believe.
Right. I don't know if it's murdering people, but those souls that are supposed to be on this earth, I feel like you're erasing their existence when you shouldn't. You know, again, it's like the playing God thing. We shouldn't be making choices like that for being irresponsible.
Correct. And like I said, look, there has to be levels of why it's being done. Mm-hmm. Just because you fucked up in a one night stand, you shouldn't keep doing it 7, 8, 10 times. And like I said, there's people who are proud of that. Those are the problems. When you have people standing in front of government buildings with signs saying things like that, you're outraging both sides. You know what I mean? It's too much. I believe that you should still be able to. There should be no outright ban. Obviously, rape and incest, it should be a no-brainer. Without a shadow of a doubt, should be done. Because those are not just physical issues, but psychological issues. That by carrying that child, you're doing no good to anyone.
Right.
So those I think that we should throw out the window, because I don't think any of these states are thinking don't do the medical procedure to save someone. I just, and if they are, of course, obviously, that's just absurdity. Like, you can't go that route.
Right. No, I get you. It's, I don't know. It seems to me like everybody's got such a difference of opinion, and it's so extreme one way or another. When, again, why can't we just put it back between the woman who's doing it and the doctor that is involved? Like, why does it need to be in anybody else's life to have an opinion? I mean, let's take it all out.
Because you're looking at the opinion that it's murder. So you're kind of going down two different routes of saying, okay, life is life and life is not. If you're looking at it from the standpoint that it's life at whatever a viable embryo is or a viable fetus, people look at that as murder, regardless if it's religion. Yes, I think the religious point of this is definitely very large, but I will tell you that there's people who are atheists who don't believe in abortion.
I agree. So
yes, I think that there is a very vast population that is probably arguing this, that is religious. Mm-hmm. Great. But I think you're going to find that middle ground as well of people going, look, it's a bit much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and,
well, the thing too now, like that we didn't have when we were kids, is that morning after pill. Like, you just need to pop a pill and you're not going to have any pregnancy. I don't understand why people aren't doing that more. I mean, it doesn't seem rational part of this equation that women are that are fighting when there's not a need for an abortion.
Correct. And I think that pill should look, why get to this level of waiting to see if your period comes? If you have a one night stand and you don't know what happened, just take the fucking pill. Problem solved. Mm-hmm. Literally problem solved. So yes, and again, if we want to fix this problem, just make it free.
Yeah, or I didn't think of it that way, but I think that's not a bad idea.
Or make it, whatever, $5. Make it less than a fucking Big Mac combo. if it saves the emotional, physical part of being pregnant and not wanting it and wanting to get rid of it, and where you think that, look, you don't even know if you're pregnant or not, so you don't even know if sperm and egg did anything. If you take the pill, it's going to fix the problem or do nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I get it. I think that we have to come to some, in between. I think there's my answer then. I think just going with that one, that would solve the bigger problem. Take that out of just give the morning after pill. Now, assuming that that's not going to damage you long run as well. I think there's got to be something along with that.
But so does having abortion. So it's like,
no, I know, but I mean,
lesser of the evils. I don't know.
I mean, because of thinking of pharmaceuticals, what it may do to other things in you, like your liver and your kidneys, and because you're taking a pill all the time, that could be a bigger problem. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
I get you. I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like it's a very big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
the pill doesn't seem like it's a problem. Rob, I'm laughing because Rob has his dog in his lap because for the last 5 minutes he's been roughing him up. And so I'm looking at this dog in the.
I've been trying to keep him under control because he's kind of all over the place. He's just a puppy, so. But yeah, so I think that those are the bigger things. Like, we as a society are obviously much further away with what we think on a lot of subjects. So by giving them back to the state and not banning them. They have not been banned, even as much as people think that they have. They have not been banned, or at least not that I know of.
So stuff in the news is saying that certain states are working at completely banning it, and also birth control. And I was like, wait, what was that? I didn't get the whole story on that, but I'm like, even birth control, come on, you guys, that's ridiculous. Like,
exactly.
That's never going to happen in this world.
I wouldn't say that, but I will definitely tell you that it shouldn't be done. Look, I will say anything can be done.
Well, that's true.
I hope not, because I think limiting birth control is worse. We're going to have a population spike that we can't handle. We almost can't feed the people we have now. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So I think there's something to it. We unwanted babies aren't going to help society. They're just not. Using abortions as birth control should not be happening either. I think there's got to be a middle ground. Where do we get to it? Without people thinking we're taking their rights away.
Again, I think it goes back even further than that. Like, we have got to start. People need to be accountable on every level. And somehow, some way in this world, people have lost the rationale that they have any accountability. So I don't know where you start when you don't start with rational people. Well, yeah,
and I think the far left and the far right are irrational. You know what I mean? Like,
this world is set up for balance. So if you're all one way or all another, that's out of balance. It's like being on just one person being on the end of one side of a seesaw. It's not going to go up and down the way it's supposed to. There's not going to be the balance. So we need to start getting back to like a realistic sort of expectation of how things should be done. And it's not that right now. Right now, it seems to be like all the one way and all the other are calling the shots or creating the chaos. And we're in an unsettling time because of that.
Yes. I don't think that at any point, at least in most countries' lifetime, has there been equal on both sides. It's always going to tilt one way or the other. You're always going to have a stronger person on the seesaw.
Tilting is fine. It's when it's the extremes. There's all this in the middle is what I'm saying. And we need to start getting back to that. Like, it doesn't need to be all one way or all another.
Correct. No, I agree with that. I think that yes, that what is where the voting system comes in. If you believe that, you have to believe that that's the reality of the voting system, though. Again, leaving it in the state's hands. If you don't like the people that are in power, you just get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then the next person would come in and overturn whatever that is. And as long as it's like California, you'll never overturn this government. Ronald Reagan's the only Republican that's won this state in 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's a one-way ticket. It's like New York. New York's the way it is. It's not going to change. That's why people who live in New York live there, because they live within that bubble of being a liberal bubble. You don't want to live in a liberal bubble, you move south. You go to Texas. So, and then you'll end up with whatever government you think you should live in. That's why people want to live in certain states and not have the federal government do shit. Stay out of my business. Less government. That's why most Republicans generally want less government. They want way less government. Just leave me the fuck alone. Let me do my shit. More power to all of us.
Until 9/11, when buildings collapse, and then all of a sudden we need to have a camera on every freaking corner. That it's not, again, this political shit is what's got it all twisted. It's not about that. It's, you know, people are doing things out of fear, and that's where we got to stop doing that. We just got to stop that first. And then like come up with a rational way of dealing with all these things, but the extremes and the way it's going, and trying to tell women what to do with their bodies, and trying to get them to change their ways. We got a lot of work, because we keep throwing a lot of shit at women and nothing's being thrown at men. You know, it's like women have to deal with this anyway, but you know, they don't get pregnant on their own.
Yes, but that's a two-way street.
That's what I'm saying.
Sleep,
it is.
But don't sleep with shitty guys then.
Well, then quit bringing shitty guys into this world. You know, you bring all these people into this world and then you don't even stay and parent them. Come on now.
Your radar's just as important as mine. If I go out on a date and I feel this chick's shitty, I'm bailing out.
Absolutely.
I'm not waiting to see, or I'm not going to bang her just to see if she's okay or not. But
but you're talking to the wrong person though, because I didn't have 4 kids with 5 different guys. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that. But we're talking about in general, like you're saying, like with this decision, what got taken away from you?
From me personally?
From
nothing.
You're a woman. What got taken away from you?
From me personally, nothing. I can't have kids already. So nothing was taken away from me personally.
Well, but you also live in California, so nothing was taken away from you.
Right. But again, I don't think the government in any way, like why can't a woman go to a doctor and the doctor say yes or no to that? Why can't it come from a medical perspective instead of the government putting any sort of anything on it? Why can't it be just like the vaccinations? Let it be between a doctor and a patient, because you know what? That's where it should be. The medical stuff should be there, not in the government's hands. Period.
Okay, so and again, I'm playing devil's advocate here, and we're gonna we agree on this anyway. So there should be no regulations on that, on abortions and or getting a shot.
No, I don't think there should be. I think that people are smart enough to make their own choices for themselves. That's it. And it's their body and it should be their right. We do live in the United States.
I agree to that to some point. Like I said, there's got to be there's got to be some kind of limit. There has to be a limit. To me, I just think that at some point, you have to say that there's a viable human in there. You know,
and if you want my opinion on that, it's when you conceive. That's for me personally, in my opinion, that's when I believe the life starts. It's not once it's given a birth date, but I have a different perspective on that because I believe it's a soul that's supposed to be here. So,
right. So where's the middle ground? Because I think that you're arguing to the people who believe the same thing, right? So people who believe at conception it's a child. So my whole thing is that I mean, look, I'm not big on federal government on pretty much anything. I just think that it's a slippery slope for what you start calling murder. Now, my belief is a little different than yours. Like, I would say years ago, I would probably say if lungs have to be developed. I have seen a few way too many pictures of what these embryos look like in different stages. Mm-hmm. And what I would say is more of a human being than a being and or a small looking mutant at certain weeks. No, I mean, if you've seen certain, at certain development stages, it looks like an alien. Now, and I'm not saying that that's not a viable human. I'm just saying that I understand certain things from certain people. I just don't think that any rights were taken per se. I just think they were given back to the states. Because if you don't want federal law, then you're going to end up having some kind of bizarre thing where, look, what laws become laws? The whole point of having a law is it's brought on by the state. That's why there's different speed limits in different states, and different, generally high crimes are the same. Like murder is pretty much the same across the board. So I don't know. I don't think that they're taking women's rights away. I think they're putting them in the hands of the states, like most laws should be. And again, not towards women, towards people. It should be the laws of the states towards people, because certain people live in certain places that have way different opinions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Bible belter.
I just don't think that the government needs to put laws on a woman's reproductive system. Like, again, they have to go to a doctor in order to have an abortion. That should be between them and their doctor. I don't feel that the government
but the doctor's just doing it to do it. They're not doing it to. They're not doing it to save the mom's life. They're doing it because they don't want a child. What I'm saying is that we need to fix it far before the abortion. But if that's something
that the doctor believes should happen between or with the woman, then it should happen. The government putting these rules on it, I don't agree,
the doctor's just saying, I want an abortion. Okay.
Look, when you're a woman and you're hemorrhaging to death, you got every month you're having periods like that. The doctors won't take out your uterus just for that. The doctors say, no, it's health wise. You need to have this and that, and you got to deal with it. That I hear that all the time. I was fortunate. Mine was so bad that the doctor gave me a partial hysterectomy, because I needed it for medical reasons. Now, the doctor and the patient should be able to decide what is right for them and then make the choice.
Yes, sort of. There's, again, slippery slopes.
Because Rob, the problem is that there's all these things that are women's issues, women's health issues, things that happen to women especially. And in a lot of ways, I don't even think men should be involved in any of that decision making. Let's go that route. Like, men shouldn't have anything to do with what's going on with women's bodies. Women should be able to police themselves.
You don't think they do?
Well, again, if they're being told that in a certain state that they live in that they can't have an abortion, no, they're not.
No, but okay. I'm playing devil's advocate here, because you said what other issues do besides this one that they don't have body autonomy for? What can you? I mean, what I'm saying is it's like most things. A guy can't go in. Well, these days, probably they can, and go, yeah, I want to cut my penis off and become a woman. Generally, there's a psych evaluation with that. Mm-hmm. So you can't just go see a doctor and a doctor can say yes. Although these days, that's probably changing more and more. Again, I agree you should be able to do what you want within reason to your body. There's got to be some level at some point on many things. I think the media is pushing that we're taking away some kind of, the media and their fear-based bullshit is on my last nerve. Yeah, I don't think that they're taking away anything per se. That, like I said, in most cases, abortions are still going to be legal. In a lot of states, even the ones that you think they're not going to be legal in. I haven't heard anything, and I've already seen that there's state judges that are going to block abortion, this abortion bill or abortion thing anyway, and say that there's going to be I think it just happened. I forgot what state. I read it today. Texas, I think that there's some kind of law that it was called a trigger law. So if Roe got overturned, it would trigger this law into effect. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that can't be, it'll probably only go for a certain amount of time, but you're going to see fights with this for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Already just in talking with friends, there's a lot of different opinions, and I've been kind of surprised at the opinions of close friends of mine and how different they are. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, I would go along with that. I think that, and again, it's going to push people apart for sure. It's going to push the country way far apart because it's just pushing it more and more. Almost any of these laws are going to start, like we talked about guns the other day. It's pushing the country apart there as well. Some people think that, if you have a gun, it's the most horrible thing in the world. Now, the Supreme Court gave people in New York, the right to carry a gun in public, and they're losing their shit over it. Like, oh, there's going to be more violence. There's already violence. It's already there. Look, I'm for freedom. Like, I think there should be a freedom. I think that there's got to be a middle ground, though, for both sides. There has to be some middle ground. And
I agree.
Because if we don't, you're never going to make anyone happy, and they're going to continue to try to make laws to either outright ban it or limit it so much that you're going to be in a back alley getting an abortion, which we don't want that either. Mm-hmm. I'm all up for safe medical procedures. And like I said, rape, incest, any medical issue, like if you have a miscarriage and there's still parts of whatever's there, you're not, even though it's technically an abortion, it's not. So, there has to be some kind of middle ground. And again, not even for me, I'm just thinking for society in general. Because if you're going to have to appease all these sides, because one side's never going to give in. Ever.
I don't think either side's ever going to give in. So what we're doing right now is we're just going to push further and further and further apart until with this ruling, with this ruling is going to change how people want to live with each other. You're going to see mass exoduses from states and moving back and forth or across the country to move to a state where you politically align with. And so you can be around people that are like-minded, which I think is a really bad thing. The melting pot is why we work as a society. Mm-hmm. Like, I have friends that are totally liberal, and I don't care. As long as you're not trying to take a right away, there's more power to you. Now, I'll tell you that I don't agree with certain things, and I generally don't care if you don't like it. And that's just the way it is. And I'm sure I will get called many, many, many names by many people. But generally, I don't care because I want to live my life. Just leave me the fuck alone. But where do we get to where we can all go, okay, this is where we want to be on this issue. This is where we want to be on this issue. And this is where we want to be on this issue. Like we talked about freedom of speech before. That should be a no-brainer issue. There should be no limits on speech. But people go, yeah, but you can say this about these people and it's hate speech. Well, that's what you get for living in a free country. You're going to have your feelings hurt. It sucks. That's just reality. And if you don't like it, move. And I think that's where we're going to go to these, where you're going to either have to move out of state or out of the country to have some kind of, some kind of whatever you call freedom is. Like that's the problem. What do you think freedom is? And then we have to get to that middle ground. I agree. I don't know. I just have a hard time anytime the government gets into any of it. And this happened far before they started, going against the abortion this time. I've always felt like government is too in the mix where they shouldn't be.
Well, yes, I agree. But I mean, we either scrap politics and other bad things would happen. There has to be some kind of governing body. I just think it's about getting the right people there. And the problem is that people are corrupted by power and money.
Well, so, and, for the last, I don't know how many years, I keep hearing people say, I voted for the lesser of the evils. Why don't we quit voting for the lesser of the evils and start putting people in these positions that actually have some sort of moral code and aren't bought out by money? Like, why don't we bring it back to where this is about making the world the way it should be, not about how much money we can make and how many people in our own lives we could screw over on a daily.
Totally agree. I think that there's the only way that happens, though, is that the Rome has to fall.
Yeah.
The country has to implode on itself. You're going to start talking about the reality of like another civil war.
I don't want to see that in my day.
No, I don't think it'll happen in our day, but I wouldn't be shocked if it happens in my kids. Just because we're pushing so far apart. I'd be surprised if it takes
that long. I would be surprised.
Oh, no. So would I. I mean, it may be in our lifetime. I just think that there's just such a different views that we're in a spot now where there might be no going backwards.
Yeah, you're right. Let's see what comes
I hope
next.
Not. But I think that again, if you watch the news, you watch the news for a few minutes and got pissed off. Could you imagine doing that every day?
Yeah, I feel like I want to tell you, let's redo this freaking podcast because I'm so worked up and I had my notes and everything that I wanted to say, and I'm so they fucked with my head today. Yeah. I'm like, damn it, why did I watch that?
I tell you what, we'll come back next week with a clearer head and we'll talk about the same things and what we feel like a week later.
Nah, I don't want to do this again.
No?
No, fuck this.
You're like, nah, I'm good.
Anything that you know me, anything that has to do with the government, I just get so frustrated. I can't even make sense. I'm just pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's way too many people are happy and way too many people are sad. Mm-hmm. So I just, like I said, it goes to show you how divided we are as a country.
But you know what I keep going back to is the breakdown of the family. If kids had both parents and they were raised in an environment where they were wanted, how much better this world would be. And even if not everybody, but can we get more where parents actually stick around for the kids? Can we get more of that?
Well, I mean, we can go back to whatever episode that was. We should, matter of fact, I'm going to look it up right now so people can go back and listen to that one. Because I think that particular episode that we talked about that on said a lot about a fatherless home. I mean, it's amazingly horrible to not have a father in the home. Mm-hmm. Which again, we can talk about that part as well of the problem of keeping the child. I think that there's a problem in that as well. Like you're having people who are keeping children that fathers will never, ever have anything to do with because they never wanted it. That would be episode 14. So for you people who want to go back and listen to episode 14, we talk about the statistics. Long ago. Yeah, I know, huh? Because we're coming up on 50 soon. It's crazy.
Is it 50 or 40?
No, 50.
Holy
we will
crap.
Be this episode. I'll have to do that with my D voice.
Another one for our 50.
This episode will be number 49.
Okay. So next week we got to do a better one because I'm kind of crapped out with this.
We got to do something special.
We got to do something fun.
But yeah, so like I just think that there's at some point we're going to have to come up with some kind of middle ground, or look, this is going to be something that's going to have to be lived with. I don't think we should be burning down fucking cities over this, but that's my own opinion. But you know, you're having government officials telling people to fight over this and saying, you know, we should make sure that they know, be careful what you wish for, because sooner or later, you know, the summer of love that we had of the burning of every city in this country, the other people that have all the firearms at some point are going to get pissed the fuck off and start shooting people. And it's a fine line, I think, that, you know.
Well, we saw that with the last riots that were in our neighborhoods, in my neighborhood, even in Granada Hills, where there were business owners standing in front of their business with guns in their hand, with rifles in their hand. That went down. They didn't start shooting, but you know what? Nobody fucked with them either.
No one fucked with the building. So yeah, because no one wants to get shot.
Right?
No one wants to get shot. I just think that, you know, as a society, if you want these rights, stop trying to take them away from everyone. The Constitution is the Constitution. And I think, look, they argued there is no amendment to the Constitution that says that you are allowed to get an abortion by the law of the land. Hence putting it back to the states. So if you agree or disagree, we'd love to hear from you. You know, like I said, I'm not trying to take away anyone's rights. I just think that there has to be some kind of limit. There has to be something we have to look at. It's like, you know, all these gun laws, they're doing all these gun laws and this and this and this, and it doesn't change violence. Mm-mm. If you outlaw abortions, bad things are going to happen again. When they didn't have them before, there were backroom abortions, coat hangers, the whole craziness of that went on.
And I actually have people in my life that have had that had those, and what it did to their bodies was disgusting.
Yeah, I don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not for having children here that are unwanted either. I mean, I think it has to be some kind of middle ground. And I think middle ground starting with the two people who are in the situation. Mm-hmm. You know, there has to be, it's like all these people that are like, well, I'm going to keep the child. So, and again, we can talk about this at some point as well, because, you know, being a man and being a woman, we probably have different views on it. It's like, it's a two-way street. If you know, it's, you both dance to get there. If the girl wants to keep the baby, should the dad have to take care of it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's his kid. Ultimately, when you lay down with a woman or you stand up, however you do it with a woman, you create that person. It's both of your problems or responsibilities.
I'm okay with that. I just wanted to see where you stood. So what happens if she wants to get an abortion and he doesn't want her to get it?
Well, as of right now, he doesn't have much to say about it.
What I'm saying is that both those are the same street, that you're saying that the guy gets fucked either way.
No, the girl does, because she's the one that has to live with whatever decision is made.
That's true, but so does he. What if he wanted to keep the child? Now he has no legal discourse because a woman's body is hers. So she gets to decide. So to say that the women are always getting fucked, that's not true.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
To me, if both sides don't want it, he should be able to skate. Nothing. Pay nothing ever. That's
if both
only
of
fair.
them don't want it, then they'd get an abortion.
No. If she wants it, but he doesn't, he should have no legal obligation to that child. Legally. Now, morally is a whole other thing, because you know how I am with a child, and I think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I think that being a dad there's no better thing than doing that. But I think that there has to be a middle ground, because there's nothing worse than bringing a child here that one doesn't want, and now is going to get screwed for the rest of their life because they made a mistake. What I'm trying to say is that both of them are two-way streets. No one wins in a lot of these things. I think you should be able to have an abortion. I think that there's nothing wrong with that under circumstances. Definitely for medical, there should be no even afterthought. Rape and incest without, and again, morning after pills for everybody, as long as they're not killing anyone. We would solve the problem if you woke up the next day and rolled over and went, what the fuck did I do? Go, boop, take a pill. Everyone's good. I do love that all these people are coming out, mostly women, and I'm going to probably shit on a few people that probably won't be happy with me. There's nothing better than women going, well, why don't you go and get a vasectomy and it's reversible? Now,
why not just be fucking responsible? Like, come on.
No,
there are condoms. There are so many things. Like, just quit being fucking stupid.
I think start teaching responsibility way earlier in life. Make sure your child knows. And then as a parent, make sure you get them the right birth control.
Yeah. When I was getting ready to have sex, my mom made me promise that I would go to her so that I could go to the doctor and get everything checked out. And she took me to the doctor, and I went through all that, and the doctor talked to me. Then she sat down and talked to me. Then my dad sat down and talked to me. And then my mom went into, it was embarrassing, like you wouldn't believe. And then after that,
I can believe it now because I know your parents.
Oh yeah, they were like, I was accountable on every level by every person that was supposed to have something to say about it. And then afterwards, my mom took me to get put on birth control, and then we went over to what was then Save On, and she got me the sponges at the time those were out, and a bunch of different types of condoms, because she didn't know what she was doing. She had me at 19. I'm sure they didn't use much for birth control, I'll be honest. No,
pull out theory.
Yeah, right. Even if they did that. So I remember being so embarrassed because I was with my mom and her best friend, and they were like, Tina, do you want the ones that are lubed for her pleasure? Or do you want the ones that taste like cherries? And I'm like, hey mom, do they got any for you? Like the ones for old bitches? You know, we had that conversation in a pharmacy, in Save On. So again, talk about being accountable. Like, everybody in my world took a part in their opinion of what I should be doing. Man. So guess what? I didn't fuck around the way that most kids did. I took care of myself so that I wasn't put in the situation when best friends were going and they didn't know who the baby daddy was, or how, I knew a girl for 2 years, and in those 2 years she had 5 abortions. I know a girl who's had 4 kids with 5 different guys, literal. She doesn't know which one is the last one. Like, we could go on and on about this, but I didn't do that because, again, everybody in my world was accountable and made me accountable. So it always, to me, goes back to that episode 14 of, you have 2 parents. They need to be accountable. They need to be in your world. Whether they can live with each other or not, they need to be a solid force in the child's life. And that's where things need to start. That's where we're going to fix things. That's where it's going to make a difference.
I agree. And I was lucky. I used condoms, or what we called rubbers then. I was lucky because through friends or through other dudes that I knew in the beginning, I got from, I got caught by my father, sort of. I was upstairs and he ended up coming home when he wasn't supposed to be coming home. Anyway, the next day I had a box of like 50 that he gave me. And all he told me was this: just use them, and walked away.
Right.
That was it. That was my whole talk. I was like, All right. Because, my dad's from the South, but he was, he's not very talkative. I'm sure if I lived with my mom would have gave me the longest fucking speech in the whole world because my mom was really, would have been like that because she's a talker. But, my dad left it up to the sex education that we got in junior high and high school. So, but, yeah, at the end of the day, that was my whole thing. But I was the same way. And, I didn't want to have no babies. I had a friend who lived in the apartments where I lived as a child there in Granada Hills. He ended up getting some girl pregnant at like 16 and had a kid. I couldn't take care of myself until I was 25. I had cats that I was worried about. I couldn't imagine a child. So, I think at the end of the day, this show has to be looked at as, look, we all have different opinions, and I understand why both sides are happy and sad or upset. Maybe more is the thing. I don't think that it was maliciously done to take away anyone's choice or rights, because they decided to put them in the hands of the state. If you start getting, like I said, it's a slippery slope of what you allow to be personal choice and what people think off a belief system. You're never going to tell somebody who believes one way that it's not murder. You're just not. And you're also never going to tell the far ones that it's okay to use it as birth control. So, but I think that those are niche markets. Yeah. I think those are small percentages of the population, let's say 30%, 15% on each side. Then you start working your way into the common sense people where I think we all have to get to this somewhat middle ground without taking away too many rights, but without hurting either side of them. If you say, look, it's never going to be illegal ever. It'll never be illegal, but you have to do it before 16 weeks. Now, to me, that's some kind of common middle ground. Like that's 16 weeks is fucking 4 months. If you can't make up your mind in 4 months, there's bigger problems in your life. Secondly, birth control free. Absolutely. Everyone forever. Ever and ever. And morning after pill should obviously be so inexpensive that if you even have the thought that you may be pregnant, you take that shit the day after. It should be in your dresser drawer if you're a girl.
That's true. Just like condoms should be if you're sexually active.
Yes.
And you don't want a kid.
Yeah. Or disease. And we can go down that route, which is a whole other thing. But, I just think that would be my middle ground. Like you have to have something to please both sides. Society. You have to try to please society. Society has so many different views. What can we come to the middle and say, look, we're not going to take this shit away from you. We know better because we don't want people dying and we don't want unwanted children. But we also have to try to please this side who thinks you're murdering babies. You know what I mean? Like, and again,
on some
whether you
level,
believe that or not,
it's true.
Yeah.
If you ask me my personal opinion, I definitely have an answer that wouldn't be the popular vote for sure.
Okay. Let's not say murdering babies. You're taking a life.
Yeah.
Let's try to make that as nice and not as horrible sounding as it does. But you'll have people who believe in abortion, but don't believe in the death penalty. Or vice versa. People who believe in the death penalty but don't believe in abortion. There's a fine line of wackoness of all of us. I just believe in both. I think that there should be some right, and if you do something horrible, we should hook you to an electric chair and cook you. So I'm just kind of one of those. I kind of try to see the world for what it is, and it's like I was just talking to a guy at work today about carrying a gun, and he's like, was more for it. But I've had people go, well, why do you need to carry a gun? Like, what are you afraid of? And I was like, nothing. I carry a gun.
Nothing, because I carry a gun.
but I carry a gun because I'm trying to be proactive. I don't want to be reactive. That's where we can look at this from the abortion side. Being preactive is being on birth control. Being reactive is getting an abortion. Let's try to be more preactive than reactive. Mm-hmm. And I think if we're more preactive than reactive in life, we'll be much better off. You know, again, the seatbelt theory. There's a reason there's seatbelts automatically. When my dad bought a car when I was born in 1971, he had to pay extra for seatbelts. Think about that.
Well, yeah, and we didn't have to sit in them either. We didn't have car seats. We didn't have all that stuff.
Yeah, there was no car. Well, I had a car seat. You know what the car seat was? And I'm not bullshitting you. It was the top of a fuck, what do you call it? A child seat, you know, like for that you put up against the table, a high chair. It was a high chair with no legs. And instead of something that we'd put on it, there was a chain in the front. That was it. My mom used to hold me in her lap while we drove someplace. And she had a seatbelt on. I didn't. So, look, we've came a long way. I think that there has to be some middle ground. And how we get there is a whole other level. And again, I don't want to take anyone's rights away. I don't think that that's what my thing is. I'm just trying to see how we can please the masses without, you know, people going to war. Because if we don't, it's coming. We're definitely climbing up a tree that I don't think we want to be in.
Yeah, I'm not about it.
All right. Oh, hey, and just so you know, we got a new country.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. We got Georgia. Yes.
Georgia's not a new country.
It is a new country. Georgia, as in Georgia next to Russia.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I was looking at our analytics the other day and I was like, Georgia. I was like, what the fuck is, oh shit, that's a country.
I did not know that. I'm glad you didn't either.
It's a little country. Like, it used to be Russian. It used to be the USSR. So it's a Russian country. So yeah, somebody in Georgia was listening to us. And on that same day, we got one in England.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
In Halstead, England. That's a new city, actually. So whoever was listening in Halstead was a new listener because we'd never got anyone from there.
Nice.
But yeah. So new
Can we
new
be
country.
done with this? Can we be done with this podcast?
I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there right now. I was trying to get the speech out, but
sorry.
You can listen. Yes. I was fucking trying.
Sorry.
You had to say something. Yeah, and it's extra long. We usually do 45 minutes. You're going to get an hour and 10 minutes of craziness and I'm sure anger somebody, but please, if you're angry, get a hold of us because we'd like to hear from you. And you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify and Google and Amazon and iHeartRadio and a bunch of other podcasting platforms. We're on all of them. Just, look up Don't Get This Twisted and you will find our cool logo with our voices on it. And we have social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I try to update these things as much as I can in between, my unfortunate real job. So, but yeah, it's an opinion show. So fucking don't get it twisted. We're just giving our opinions, and whether you like them or don't, I hope you keep listening because society is definitely filled with different people, and I'm hoping that there's tons of different ones listening to this. So, for my incredible co-host Tina. As always, I am Rob, and we will be back in a week with the 50th episode of our show.
Who knew?
And who knows what we're going to talk about. But it'll be something. Maybe we'll have to get a guest on. Maybe the 50th.
That would be great.
50th, we'll get a guest to talk about, something interesting like booze or I don't know, something like that. All right, darling. As always, it's fun. We'll see you in a week.
All righty. Have a good one.
All right. Later.